Fascinating. Paramount Global has reached a settlement with Donald Trump over a lawsuit that alleged that CBS News Network engaged in election interference by editing an interview with Kamala Harris. We talked about this at the time. There was this kind of answer, this weird kind of re-editing of Kamala Harris's answer to a question which made her look better. Donald Trump has won this lawsuit. I just want to ask you about that, but first I'll just play you the difference between what the interviewer actually got, the answer he got from Kamala Harris, and then the edited version that we then saw. So have a listen.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Now, Natalie, the legacy media is one of your pet hates, and you've done a brilliant job exposing the fraudulent practices of the legacy, so-called legacy mainstream media. That is a textbook example. Kamala Harris comes across looking quite smart and with a clever answer, but it was all fake. It was all edited. What is the significance of this? Obviously, it's a big win for Donald Trump, but are the legacy media, the mainstream media, learning any lessons from this?
Well, you can see they make my job very easy if you can translate what she was saying. But I think this is such a great decision. I mean, right, first off, it has to be salt in the wound. What is it, after the, over $1 billion that they spent, I guess technically coming from the DNC to try to get her elected. Now it's another $16 million going to, of all places, the presidential library for Donald Trump. That's pretty awesome. But I think obviously Trump is great for the ratings, right, of these networks. But I think if you look at this settlement sort of through the longer frame of a trajectory of how President Trump has just totally obliterated the legitimacy, the credibility, right, of so many of these legacy media institutions. I've always sort of described it as a Thucydides trap, right? You have the sort of old guard media establishment that no one trusts, and then you have the new media like myself in and around the White House. And I think the fact that they have to compete with us now for viewership and just from the kind of access and prestige standpoint, which is something that they've always traded off of, right? Just being able to have the White House as a backdrop, the illusion of access, they no longer have the monopoly on that. So I think that sort of compounding with the idea of all of these, right? There's so many of these settlements happening with so many of these networks. It's a testament, I think, to these networks not feeling like they can get away so much with lying about President Trump anymore, because there's actually going to be ramifications. I guess maybe lawfare has met its match, and when they're going to cover what they did against President Trump for these last 4 years the way that they did, maybe they should see some of their own lawfare, because I think that's exactly what we're seeing go down. And I'm sure there'll be some more lawsuits like this.
They'll keep you busy, Natalie. They'll keep you busy. Don't you worry about that.
Indeed.
They haven't given up the ghost yet. But listen, I want to show you another before and after type of thing. And this was the border under Biden and the border under Trump. Trump's border crackdown has been a massive success, we know. So let's have a look at the difference between the two. Natalie, it does not get any clearer than that. They were pouring over the border under Joe Biden, and you've got the big, beautiful wall there. That's it. The border is secure. This is really significant, isn't it?
Extremely. I don't think we've had crossings this low since probably before I was born. But look, it goes back to, I think, the core ideological differences, right? Joe Biden, whoever is running the country, they're globalists to their core. They don't believe in sovereignty. They don't believe in nation states. That's why they tried to outsource not just their decisions, whether it was on the pandemic front or any front, you name it, the WHO. So, of course, they're not going to believe in securing a border. And that's why it really was, I don't want to say easy, and undercut the accomplishments that the Trump administration has made on the border and the border security front. but it was just about enforcing the laws that were already on the books and not tying the hands of our wonderful, brave ICE and CBP officers. Now, we always call balls and strikes here. I think the deportation numbers need to be a lot higher, but overall, these just absolutely plummeting, like you said, to zero numbers in terms of border crossings. And again, it was, known terrorists, people who are coming from countries that were openly hostile to the United States. It was not just people seeking a better life, as we're told. This is a huge win, but those deportation numbers definitely need to skyrocket too. I guess we need an inverse relationship between the two in terms of trend lines, but I think the One Big Beautiful Bill is going to help that happen.
And just very quickly before we go, another great victory for Donald Trump is Leah Thomas, the man identifying as a woman who took out a host of swimming titles at the University of Pennsylvania. He's going to be stripped of those titles after pressure from the Trump administration. What do you make of that, Natalie?
There's this one line that MSNBC and all our legacy media bettors love to use, is that people who voted for Trump didn't know what they were voting for. They didn't know what they were signing up for. He's so radical. No, this is exactly what we voted for, and I don't think it's just women. I think I speak for everyone when we say we don't want men cosplaying and LARPing as women, taking away the hard-earned and well-deserved titles of so many young girls who have all been around the White House saying as much and thanking President Trump for defending their right to compete fairly and freely.
100%. Well, happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July, Natalie Winters.
Thank
there
you,
from
sir.
Steve Bannon's War Room.